Yo people, welcome back to the YouTube channel. You already know what time it is. It's time for another video. Apologies, lateness is greatness in terms of talking about this match, the review for Chelsea 1, Newcastle 1, but I wanted to come with the energy and come with some serious points because I'm not going to go on a rant, but I need to get some things off my chest. And I need to come correct. So I said, let me take a bit of time. You know, it was late. The game was extremely late. I didn't really want to record a video at that time after the match when I really deeped it because I want to make a bit of noise. I want to make a bit of a ruckus. And then in the morning, obviously I had to go DR. So I just wanted to take my time with this because I think the game wasn't particularly exciting. Of course, there's still some good points to take from it, but there's also some negatives. But there's a wider topic at hand that we need to address because we've seen from Pochettino's quotes there's a lot more going on than just the game, and the game wasn't particularly exciting. So it's not like as if I had this crazy adrenaline that I needed to get out of my system talking about a Jackson hat-trick or something. It's just the one goal for our incredible striker. So first of all, talking about the game, obviously with the lineup, listen, you know, I think this is the final game for potential experiments, you know, 6-2-6 Lilo and Stitch. I think it's the final game for that because we got a couple of games left, Liverpool on the horizon, then we need to be putting out the strong team that we're going to be expecting to start that game. So the likes of Humphreys, great solid game for him to get under his belt. Chalobah playing alongside him, an opportunity for Humphreys, I think, to prove himself. But in some regards, there were players that maybe did need minutes and didn't get them, so we'll get to that. But in terms of the way we played in the first half, it was a much more enjoyable first half than second, let's be honest. You know, the first half, first 10-15, I felt like, you know, Newcastle had us a little bit on ropes. You know, we weren't quite in the game. Similar to Brighton, we had to take our time to get into it. Mudryk, again, got better as the half went on as well. We get our goal, and it's Matson coming off the right flank, and I was so excited to see. That was probably one of the most exciting parts of the lineup. Of course, in Cucurella and Jackson playing together, but Matson playing off the right flank as a winger, cutting in on his left foot, and he had a really good game. And for me personally, if you're not keeping Angelo, which we're going to get to, doesn't look like he's staying because of course he didn't come off the bench in this game. It looks like he's going to be going to Strasbourg. You know, I've been enjoying the Angelo propaganda. I've been enjoying the Angelo football, and I would have loved to have kept him. You know, even though maybe from a numbers standpoint it might not make sense due to who we're looking at in the market, but I think Angelo's played well. It would have been good to see him. He didn't come on this game, which for me signifies he's not going to be staying at Chelsea. Most likely he's going to leave to Strasbourg, and I'm going to be wishing him the best of luck and hopefully he can continue to show what he showed here. If we're not keeping Angelo, then you've got to keep Matson. Like, you can't lose both. Matson showed in the wing positions now. He showed end product. He's got an assist to his name, a wonderful passing behind for Jackson. He just is a technically very complete footballer, and he's shown it now in his variety of positions to play. Obviously, we have those fun comparisons of Saka moving from left wing back, playing midfield, playing left wing, playing right wing. This is, again, another technically complete, very good footballer. Matson, obviously, nowhere near the level, much more to show. But if we're just talking about a player that we want to see in the squad that can cover a variety of positions, that is intelligent, that was tucked in against Brighton as this left-sided attacking midfielder with Chilwell on the overlap, and then now played right wing, has played left back, obviously on previous loans, has just showed that he's a very good player. For me, you have to keep a player like that. So I can deal with Angelo going if Matson stayed. It was a wonderful pass. It's a simple pass, really, for most top players, but it feels like a pass we don't see often. All those runs being made before Enzo arrived, no one else was spotting them. Jackson in behind, beautiful finish past the keeper, 1-0 Chelsea. Now, again, I want to win every preseason game. I'm taking these games very seriously. You're seeing it in the watch-alongs. I'm pissed when we concede. I don't just see it as just preseason. I think when you play as poorly as you did last year as a unit, as a club, to finish 12th, we need to get that winning mentality back into our veins, back into our bloodstream, and I'm trying to see wins, and that's it. I'm not interested in any other result. So the draw is a bit of a disappointment. The goal conceded is a horrendous moment for Cucurella. Like, and the reason why I say this is because I've got players that I'm holding accountable this season in terms of you need to perform. You have to be responsible. You have to be showing seniority and stepping up to the plate, because there's too many players that have to be given a pass, have to be given a moment of a bozo moment, because we know they're young and we know it's their first season in the Premier League. There's so many young players. We have probably on average the youngest team in the league as it stands. So we know we have to give a few passes to players having, you know, peaks and troughs and having highs and lows. Jackson, he could have an inconsistent season. That would be, that would be understandable. You know, you take a look at Broja coming back from massive injury. You take a look at Matson, first Premier League season. You go to Lewis Hall, he's a teenager. You go to Cassidy, you go to Carney, you go to Santos, you go to all these guys. And you expect inconsistency. Gusto, first season. We'll see how he does. But the seniors like Cucurella, like Chilwell, like James now, you know, like Sterling, you know, Kepa, you guys have to perform. You know, you have to. Because if you don't, then what are you doing here? High wages, you know, Premier League experience. I'm expecting the very best. I'm expecting the standard. So you got to hold these people to standard this season. And Cucurella, that mistake, he constantly, this is a trait in his game. I spoke about it on the watch along. He constantly just seems to be attracted to the ball, and he leaves a lot of space behind him, and he just completely misjudged it. If he had just followed Almiron, he would have stuck with him. He could have blocked his path. Almiron's always going to cut in on his left foot. You can shield him out wide and, you know, narrow the angle for Kepa, and then he's got more of a chance of saving it. You allowed him to get behind you. You stepped up, made an error. Outside of that, it wasn't a terrible game, but you can't make those moments, those errors, because that will cost us goals and that will cost us games. So you have to tighten that up, fix that up. And especially because you're in a position that is extremely contested for. You know, Almiron gets in behind, he can open up his body, he's got the whole goal to aim at. We know Kepa ain't making world-class saves on a regular basis. And you look at that left-back position and you think to yourself, much like Sterling, similar type situation, you two have to perform because the competition is so high. We have Madueke to come back for Sterling. We have, you know, Matson now competing for Sterling. We have an Angelo that we don't really want to even let go, but we kind of have to, going out for Sterling. And then on left back, we have Chilwell, but we also have Lewis Hall and we have Matson as well. And Lewis Hall's not really seeing any minutes. And you take a look at the performances that Lewis Hall was putting in at the back end of the season, and really, he playing against the biggest teams. He playing against Manchester United, playing against Manchester City, and putting in top performances, putting in brilliant crosses into the box, connecting the play, driving with the ball. He looks like a player that can invert. He looks like a player that can go around the outside and obviously overlap. He's showing that, like Matson, he has a baseline, fundamental foundation of traits that we can use in multiple positions, and therefore he must be an intelligent and just a very good footballer. Cucurella is the opposite. You know, you're more limited. You can't go forward and cross the ball and get forward and overlap. You can't, you know, make those underlapping runs. You can invert maybe and play that wonderful pass we saw against Brighton. That's great. But even your defending as a defender, which is what you need to be, you kind of need to be the modern day Azpilicueta. Your defending needs to be on point, because if you can't attack as a fullback, a modern day fullback, you have to be able to defend. That's 1v1, not getting caught out, not exposing yourself, airily handling your business as well, and putting in good tackles. As he does at times, his ground duels can be good. So he's got to perform, and that's just how simple as it is. Same goes to Chilwell. You have to perform. Chilwell's exactly the same. You're on high wages, you're experienced, you've had fitness issues, you've got to keep yourself fit. We've got young guys that cost effective on the books are way lower. You know, they're very cost effective. They don't have high wages, they're technically secure, and they're versatile. And they look like, for me, potential in terms of ability, raw ability, they look even better players than Cucurella and Chilwell. So you guys just have to perform, because these two are vying for your places. So it's a bit of a disappointment not to see Lewis Hall, but it is what it is. But moving on, the rest of the defence, you know, James, you know, it was his first game back. I'm not expecting to see peak Reece James. Just good to see the fitness and you know, he a few times where he was getting, you know, done up by Isak on the left. But listen, it is what it is. It's his first game. I can cut him that slack. And then obviously we have Enzo, we have Cassidy. I thought Enzo at times he did get bypassed a little bit. There was a moment, but again, first start in pre-season, so you know, you leave it at that. But, you know, as the weeks go on, as the games go on, we're going to want to see more from Enzo. Cassidy, I thought, has actually had a very impressive pre-season for me. And it's going to be interesting to see who stays between Cassidy and Carney, because I think with Gallagher staying, because we've rejected that West Ham bid, which I thought was a fair bid. Pochettino has apparently had a word with him privately and wants to keep him. We know Pochettino likes him according to the reports. Maybe the club are happy to sell him and make that straight profit. I'm happy to do so too, but if the manager wants to keep him, he's had a word and said, actually, Gallagher, don't go anywhere because I really want to keep you, then obviously Gallagher's not going to go, because he does like, you know, he loves playing for Chelsea. So if he's going to stay, then that tells me that one of those guys have to go out on loan. Santos is going to stay for the balance, and we need to sign a midfielder. You know, so we've already got quite a few numbers in there. It's either one of those guys got to go out on loan, or we're not going to get the number 10, you know, because for me, if Gallagher's staying, and Gallagher had a really good game coming off the bench, I have to say. He had a really good game coming off the bench. But Gallagher is doing, once again, his best work as an off-the-ball, you know, guy that's going to press, win the ball, high up the pitch, and then take those snapshots or make those connections in the final third. He ain't doing his best work in the first phase. He's not making his best work in the double pivot. So that leans to getting a midfielder. Cassidy or Carney play as one of the two. Santos stays in Enzo. That's 4 for 2 positions, and Poch is trying to keep this squad down. He's spoken about a 23, 24, 25 man squad max. So you don't really need 5 midfielders playing for 2 positions in that 2. Gallagher could drop in if he has to as a 5th option, but Cassidy or Carney goes out on loan. And then if you're keeping Gallagher as your second 10, which is what Poch seems to want to do, then you can make an argument for Kudus or whoever not really joining again, because it's like, we don't need 3 people for one position. Now, again, my preference is that you cash in on Gallagher and you get that second 10 like a Kudus, who's just better on the ball, receives it in those tighter spaces, has a better first touch, and can still give you goals and can dribble past players as well and just gives you more. But if we're keeping Gallagher, then there's an argument to say you're bringing in a Caicedo level of player, which we're going to talk about in a minute. You've got 3 other players in Enzo, 2 youngsters in Santos, Cassidy or Carney, and then you've got in Cucu and Gallagher's your backup 10, and therefore that's the end of the conversation. 6 players for 3 positions. Like, that's it. So the maths is simple. You know what I think and what I want, but listen, whatever happens, happens, I guess. Nothing we can really do. But yeah, Gallagher was good. He was much better. Like I said with Miz when I was on his channel, even though when Gallagher has a good performance, obviously I'm going to give him his credit. Like I said, he was very good. He was probably the only person that kept me awake in the second half. I thought the second half was a drag. It was quite dull. It was quite dim. Sterling was a disappointment. You know, a host of others as well. It just wasn't clicking. And Cucu in this game, first half, a bit disjointed from Jackson. Second half, he was playing up front. I think Poch did say to him, listen, you need to play as a third midfielder almost. And I kind of understand where he's coming from, because, you know, if I'm looking at Mudryk or I'm looking at Nkuku, who do I want higher up the pitch? Making those runs in behind, I think that's something that Mudryk, you absolutely want him to do. You saw the pace. If you're looking at who can play deeper, you're probably saying that you want Nkuku to be a bit deeper and to involve himself in the general play. You can't have both of them up there. And even though Jackson was looking a bit disjointed in that first half, it wasn't like Nkuku was even near him, but we saw that Mudryk and Jackson chemistry in the Brighton game. If you think about it, you push Mudryk up and even maybe push him a little bit more narrow as well and get him closer to Jackson and get him taking shots. I thought when Mudryk, as I said, he got better as the game went on. When he was actually a little bit more central and he was making those long runs, set up Matson for a shot, had the Matson cross come in, he was in the central areas, laid it off for Cassidy, he took his shot. I think when Mudryk is a little bit more closer to the action, I think he was actually a lot more effective and a lot more, you know, interesting to watch and a lot more of a weapon and a lot more of a threat. When he was out there on the wide, really, really wide and kind of isolated, I didn't really see too much of him. Now, maybe that's because we didn't have Levi Colwill playing. He would have maybe put those passes into him as he done for Matoma at Brighton, and as we saw against Brighton. You know, Humphreys isn't going to maybe do that to the same level of we know Levi Colwill is a great passer. But yeah, like I just feel like if you're going to play Chilwell and you're going to play, you know, Mudryk in the same team, you're definitely going to ask Chilwell to be high up. You're definitely going to ask him to make those runs. So that therefore means you have to tuck in Mudryk and get him closer to Jackson and not have them bumping into each other. But obviously with Cucurella on that left side, you know, it just didn't work until the game kind of panned out a little bit more. So yeah, for me and Cucu, you know, it was decent. Nothing crazy. But again, expecting him to develop a chemistry with Jackson as the weeks go on and obviously understand his real role under Poch, because as a 10 you can have a multitude of different roles, whether it's, you know, making third man runs off a strike or dropping into midfield or being a creative kind of 10. There's so many options to you. You know, doubling up out wide if the ball goes out wide to a Mudryk or the other flank to a Matson and helping overloads and overlaps. There's so many different jobs that you can get. It's understandable that Nkuku for the first time under Poch playing in the 10 wasn't giving us this show-stopping performance, because there's just a lot that he needs to maybe understand from a coaching standpoint what Poch actually wants him to do. And that was clear in the communication at half-time. And then obviously, yeah, for me, in the water break, sorry, not at half-time. And then for me as well, listen, second half, like I said, it wasn't great. I'm disappointed not to see Hall at all in this game. I think Hall, like I said, I think he's got a lot to bring to the team. I think he can do the inverting job and I think he can do the overlapping job. So I know he's young, maybe he'll go out on loan. If he's not playing at all and Angelo's not playing at all, 0 minutes in this game, I'm taking it that they're going to go out on loan. Just don't sell Hall. Keep him, because we got to watch these senior left backs this season, see if they step up to the plate, and if they don't, next summer out you go, and someone like Lewis Hall is ready to step in. What team we loan him to, what position he plays out on loan will be very crucial to understanding what Pochettino sees for him in the future. I'm not going to start lashing out because, you know, you can make an example of Sarri with Hudson-Odoi. You know, sometimes a manager will see a player and say, listen, I just want to take my time with you, ease you in. I've got my plan for you. It doesn't mean that they don't rate them just because they're not playing them. But like I said, it would have been nice to see Hall, because we've seen Hall last season. He was very effective, very good. And yeah, it's a shame, but it is what it is. Now we're going to go through some Pochettino quotes. So that's the game. We saw Diego come on. He had some moments. He looks like he's going to stay and maybe be part of the under-21s and maybe be deep depth, train with the first team, make a few cup appearances here or there. We saw Gusto come on. Again, just solid. I thought Gallagher was the best person that came on as a substitute. We saw Carney come on. Santos did a job. Sterling was, again, the microscope is on Sterling like never before. You, my brother, you just have to play 10-10, because if you don't, you're going to be a frustrating character, purely because the expectations are so high, and we've got a lot of young players that a lot of people would rather see at this point. So yeah, Sterling, as I said in every single preseason game review, he has to just step up. But let's talk about the quotes, because I want to go through these. Now, I want to start with Caicedo. I'm not going to rant, but I am starting to lose a lot of patience on this deal, because let's be honest, guys, I shouldn't even have had to make a video talking about whether we're bringing in Gurhi for Chalobah for a couple of million spent, if everything pans out the way ideally I would expect it to from a price point of view, and obviously the little clauses we have, and making sure Inter Milan pay their dues. That's not a big topic, really. Really what is necessary is a midfielder. That's what Pochettino is screaming out for. And the fact that he's got this level of publicity in terms of what he feels he has to vocalize now, I need a midfielder. In another position, we miss some players. That's the quote from Nazar Kinsella. It's clear what we need. This is his quotes after the game. It's getting to a point now where it's like, don't piss off Pochettino. Everybody knows we need a midfielder. And according to Ornstein, we've had 60, 65 and 70 million pound bids go in. And this is why I said on All You Can Eat Chelsea, I can't get angry with Brighton, because we're yet to put in a bid that actually matches what they want, or at least comes close to. We know that Bloom is a tough negotiator. Yes, we don't want to be mugged off by Brighton. Then don't go after their players and just find an alternative and go and get a different midfielder. And we're going to have a video soon that has the alternatives and maybe other options. But from what I can see out there on the market, I haven't seen someone better than Caicedo, or at least not proven like Caicedo was in his first season in the Premier League. So, this is for me the best target. I've said it before. I feel like this is a great target. I feel like this is a great player. I think he seamlessly goes in, and I think he's worth overpaying if that's what it is. Get it done. Sometimes you have to do that and get the player in, because Pochettino is saying, screaming, shouting, top of his lungs, beating his chest, like it's Lion King, and he's holding up Simba, and Simba is Caicedo, and he's saying, I need this player in my midfield. Enzo Fernandez is liking a tweet saying, I hope we don't fail this man and not give him a midfield partner that he deserves, right? Crazy. We need to get a midfielder. It's non-negotiable. It's not an option. It's a demand. And Winstanley and Stewart and Lawrence and all these brothers, the same person there, Lawrence Stewart, get the deal moving. And that means putting in a serious bid, because I've said already, I've cussed out Brighton De Zerbi for the disrespect talking about Colwell. But the reason why they keep involving Colwell in the deal is because we keep undervaluing Caicedo via what they value him, which is 100 million. They value him at a high price point. We keep bidding below that. So they said, to make up the rest of the money, you have to talk about Colwell. If we don't want Colwell to be in the deal, then offer a serious amount of money. I'm not saying pay 100 million up front. Let's get this moving to 80 with 20 million in add-ons. Let's get this moving to 90 with 10 million add-ons, or get it to a total package of 95 or 90 or whatever. But 70 is not going to work. So let's get it moving. If we really want the player, and this is our prime target, and Fabrizio keeps saying we're not walking away from the deal, then make a serious offer. If you're not going to make a serious offer, then move on and go and get someone else. Get an alternative. We were linked with Onana at Everton in January. We've been linked with Lavia. He's going to end up going to Liverpool. We haven't made a move on him. We need to get a midfielder ASAP, because there's a point where, yes, we're trying to get the best deal, but now we're actually affecting potentially team performance going into the Liverpool game, because we're not ready. And these players need to train with Poch. They need to understand what he wants. They need to build the chemistry of Enzo. And we need to be like a well-oiled machine, because as far as I'm concerned, going into that Liverpool game, I want to win. I'm not looking at that Liverpool game saying, oh, we'll just ease ourselves in, get a draw and go home. I want to win. And Pochettino has said countless times he wants to win. Chelsea's about winning. So we need to build a team that's ready to win as well. And Caicedo, for me, it just levels up the midfield, takes the pressure off the Santos, the Cassidys, the Carneys, whoever ends up staying, and it puts us in a good position, because his fitness record is good as well. There's no worries about injury record or whatnot. And that's obviously key as well. So For me personally, I'm getting a bit frustrated. I'm trying not to shout and all this, but I'm like, this is negligence now. There's no excuse. It's not like, oh, we have all these loan deals that we need to figure out, or, oh, we need to sell all these players. Hudson-Odoi, the Fulham offer's there. Cool, let somebody do that, but you don't need one of the main men to do that. It's not a big situation. If we get 4 million or 8 million in, it's not really a big deal to the books. Lukaku, he can fix his own shit. Like, you handle your own business. You're the one that put yourself in that position. You go and find your own club. Ziyech. And how many others are there? There's not really that much. We've done the bulk of the work on the outgoings. We need to get a deal moving now. We've gone past all deadlines that I would have set in my head. The first one was before we get on the plane to America. The second one was before we play Brighton. Now we're just getting into territory where we barely got any preseason games left. He's not going to definitely be playing the next one on Sunday. And you pray to God he's there for the one after. So listen, I'm starting to lose it now, because if you're going after an alternative, then go and let's put the bid down for that person. But I'm not seeing it at the moment. I'm just seeing a lot of waffle. So yeah, listen, he's got quite a few quotes. That's why I've put it on a tablet to go through, because I don't want to try and I don't want to try and make it up as I go along in terms of the quotes. On Kepa, he said we're happy with him. He's showing great commitment and adapting to the new demands from Tony and the coaching staff. He's a fantastic keeper. I don't really know what the situation is with the goalkeepers, because we're seeing some information saying that he's not happy with the ball playing ability and he wants that improved, and the coach, maybe that's the coaching staff that are going to work on that. But we're also in the market for a keeper, but we can't afford a top goalkeeper, so we're looking for a competitive goalkeeper. We need to get a goalkeeper, because, you know, Kepa, for me, you know, you look at some of the saves that Pope was making. I can't trust Kepa to be making those astonishing, outstanding saves. And we know Pope is just a great goalkeeper. He's just not the great ball playing, you know, kind of goalkeeper that the modern day asked for. And you saw a couple of mistakes there last season at St James's Park. So for me personally, listen, Kepa's just, it's just a very underwhelming goalkeeper to have going into the new season. I'm going to keep it a buck. I would love to have this position replaced. I've said it time and time again. I don't trust this guy, and I think he puts us in a lot of jeopardy a lot of the time in terms of, you know, the lack of commanding figure in the box. But if Poch is happy, then hey, what can we do? But we need to get a second choice, and it needs to be a strong second choice. Even if it's a short term like a Keylor Navas, it needs to be someone that we can actually put in if needs be. He said that he doesn't want to have a squad size of more than 23, 24, 25. We spoke about that. Tough decisions have to be made. Yeah, I mean, Angelo will probably go out on loan. You might even say Lewis Hall might go on loan. Carney or Cassidy, one will probably go out on loan as well. And obviously there's sales to be made. So yeah, there's going to be some tough ones. Humphreys as well. Do we need him as a fifth choice centre-back, or is he going to go out on loan? Probably best so he actually plays. Because if everyone stays fit, then a fifth choice centre-back is not going to play. So yeah, there's a lot of definitely tough calls to be making there. And yeah, it seems like Matson's in his plans. For me personally, I've seen there's talk about Matson could go from Isaac Cancelo. Obviously on quotes, it's Poch saying that he's in the plan so far. For me, I've seen so much good things from Matson in pre-season. If he's not staying, I'm very perplexed. I think he's entering his last year of his contract as well, so that wouldn't be great for us on that side of things. And to be fair as well, great things from Poch is that he's looking for balance in the squad. He's not talking about, you know, having imbalance. He's spoken about the fact that we have 4 left backs and not enough in other positions. He's also spoken about the fact that we need to stop thinking I come here to play. No, I come here to help the club to achieve what we want, and then I need to convince the coaching staff that I deserve to play. That is a fantastic quote, an absolutely immaculate, emphatic, bombastic, elephantastic quote. It's a beautiful quote because it puts the power back with him and takes it away from the players, and they need to know exactly that. This is Chelsea, this is a competitive environment. You are not guaranteed anything. If you want to start, then prove it. You know, you're here because you're a certain level, that we rate you to a certain level. We've probably spent P's on you, or we've developed you from young. But after that, you still have to continue to prove that you deserve to start. You've not done anything in your career to show that, oh, you must, you know. And even Sterling, who's probably the most decorated person left in the team, he has still got to prove himself because his performances haven't been up to scratch. And yeah, he goes on to say, if the players are not happy because they believe they are not going to play, we are going to find a solution with the club and fix this situation. And that, again, is just damning. It's just direct. It's shut up and put up or piss off. And that is just exactly how it needs to be. If you have the ability, then you need to have the mentality and you have to have the consistency. If you have all 3 of those things, then we can talk. If you just have the ability but you don't have the mentality, out you go. If you have the ability and the mentality, but you don't have the consistency, but then that's no good to us either. And you can swap any one of those ones all around the place as much as you want, and same outcome. If you don't have all three, then you can't chat to me. So it's a beautiful couple of quotes from Poch that I needed to make sure I spoke about in this video, because I think it sets a precedent. And in terms of the movement in the transfer window, guys, I almost apologize that I actually spoke about the centre-back situation yesterday, because really, I don't want to. I don't want to even talk about a Cobham, switcheroo. That's not priority. If you're going to get a centre-back, then, make it a world-class one, or stick with what you've got. If you're going to waste time doing a deal like that, make sure you have everything else done first. I've said already, I think Gurhi's a better centre-back than Chalobah. If you're going to do that deal, though, you better have a centre-mid in, and you better have a goalkeeper in. If you don't have those two things, and that's not even getting to the 10, then what are we really doing here? So a lot to get done, and a lot of things to happen going forward. And yeah, listen, I would have liked to have won, but we didn't. We move on to the next game against Fulham, but yeah, I need to see some serious movement on, and some serious headway on this Caicedo deal, because we ain't got time for this. Like, the season starts in under 2 weeks. So you guys let me know what you think. Big up your damn selves. Took a bit longer to come out than it should have, but it's out now. And yeah, we here. In a bit, people. Peace.